All right, we are here again at Urfer Family Park talking about the problems with rental pricing. I have an article here from the Palm Beach Post, and it talks about how Florida has 6 of the markets that are, cost burdened, and there's even extreme cost burdening. So let's kind of go over this article, and I'll give you my 2 cents on what I think about it, because I am a landlord for over 20 years. I have, over a dozen rentals. So let's talk about it, see where this is heading. But first, if you don't know who I am, my name's Maciek Zaremba. I'm a real estate agent in Sarasota, Florida, and I also invest, obviously, and been an agent for quite a while, and I do run a small real estate team. So if you have any questions, let me know. But let's get started.
Hey, real quick, I know I'm an agent, but a lot of people like to sell for sale by owner. So if you're interested in learning about a course that can help you sell your property for sale by owner and do everything an agent does, then please click the link below. There's a little place where you can sign up, and I'll send you all the information.
So first of all, this article, I agree with a few things, and I don't agree with a few others. First, let's just start off by saying here what it's basically saying. It's saying that the prices here have cooled off in August, and I agree with this first statement. This is the first sentence. The pricing has not increased at all. In fact, they might have come down just a little bit, because we did have, and this is like a seasonal thing a little bit too. And this is for annual rentals. This is not for seasonal rentals. So when school's about to start, then, before school starts for the kids, people want to move and get out of their place, out of their apartment or house or condo or whatever, and into a better school district. So, August is when school starts. So obviously, things cool off in August every single year. Of course, last couple of years we had some frenzies with real estate. Everyone's selling their houses, so that was not the case. But that is the first thing I'll say. Now, this article is not about Florida, but it does talk about Florida because we have so many, cost burden areas. But it does talk about how about half of all renters in the country are cost burdened. So, what does that mean, right? Cost burdened, this is the way they're defining it, is that their rent is 30% or more of their take-home income. But here's the part where I don't really agree, because when it comes to purchasing a home, I think the average in the US of the mortgage payment is 38%. So as a tenant, if you're at 30% versus buying a home and you're at 38%, is that cost burdened? I mean, yes, usually when you apply for residential tenancy somewhere, the landlord wants to see 3 times rent. So that would be up to 33% of your income is allowed to go towards payments, rent payment. But when it comes to your purchasing of a home, if you go conventional loan, you can go up to 50%. If you're FHA loan, you're up to 60% of your total obligations, your debt to income ratio, basically. And yeah, that does include credit cards and car payments and so on, but hopefully you're managing your money right, and you're not buying cars on loans. I mean, I know people aren't going to agree, but I don't think people should be buying cars on loans. This is part of the problem in America with affordability, is that people are buying depreciating assets that are worth, 15-20% less as soon as you drive it off the lot. And they're buying it on a loan. Whereas, with real estate, you have to put a very significant down payment, and theoretically, you have equity at the very beginning. Whereas a car, you have no, you lost a whole bunch of value as soon as you get it. So then, they kind of go into defining what I just said about the 30%, someone who's cost burdened. has their household expenses are over 30% of their take home. And then there's what they classify as extremely cost burdened, which is over 50% of your income goes towards your household expenses. And that's not just rent or, just like rent and electricity. I think they include, paper towels and like just your household expenses, right? Now here's something really interesting, and I can't really argue with this. And I know it's true in my case when it comes to my rents, my rental prices, where I've had turnover. But they're saying, and I quote, although rent growth has cooled significantly over the past year, the national median rent is still 23% higher than it was just 3 years ago. And in some markets, it has even been more substantial. So the question that I ask is, are my rent prices more than 23% higher than they were 3 years ago? And where the tenants were turned over, the answer is yes, because I come in and I repaint and I fix everything and I upgrade a thing or two, and then I can rent it for fair market value. So that's normal. But on the tenants that have not been turned over, the answer is no. I do not have a, standard increase in my rents. I like to keep rent low because, when I get someone into a property, I like to have this strategy where it makes sense for them and it makes sense for me. So I'm willing to accept that price. And I don't think I need to get greedy with raising my rents. And some people may say that's stupid. From a strictly spreadsheet numbers perspective, that is not necessarily the best return that I can get. But like I said, I'm not here trying to be greedy. I'm not trying to get as much money as I possibly can. I want to have a good tenant that's happy, that's not, cost burdened too much, right? Like I want it to be fair. And if my numbers make sense from the beginning, then they're probably going to make sense 2-3 years down the line, right? Now, of course, insurance does go up and so do taxes, but my interest rates are fixed. So my principal and interest doesn't change on my properties with mortgages. But a lot of landlords stick with a 5% yearly increase, and I don't do that. I basically let people stay for a while, and I keep the rent the same because it makes sense to me, and I want them happy, and I don't like dealing with turnover. And I'm definitely not in the business of seizing security deposits, so I'm not looking to play that game. Some landlords are. So the other thing about this 23%, saying that from 3 years ago rents are 23% higher, this isn't really fair because of inflation. If everything was 23% higher, okay, that's fair. But I don't know, cost of milk is way more than 23% higher. All groceries are more than 23% higher. Gas is more than 23% higher. Everything is more than 23% higher. So real estate is just 23% higher. Maybe it should be more, but I know that there is a home affordability situation going on with most people. Well, I had to turn around because I think the rain's coming in and there's a whole bunch of flies going in my ears. So let's talk about the next part of the article here. It says that the price of rent in most Florida's big cities is really expensive and unaffordable for people who don't make a 6-figure salary. I agree. I hate to say it. So if you have a work from home job and you're thinking about moving to Florida and you're not in the 6-figure range, home affordability might be a little tough for you, especially if you're a single income household, under 100,000. And if you want to buy, well, with 2 incomes like that, you'll qualify definitely. With 1 income like that, you're not in the best metropolitan areas, especially in South Florida, because South Florida is kind of an exception where they're even more expensive than other big major cities. So what areas are they talking about that are so expensive? Basically in Florida. Throughout the South, they tend to have higher costs and a bigger burden, and that's normal, right? Because in the South, it's warmer and people want to live here, and some politics, whether you agree or not, are kind of looser, and they really help people out during the pandemic that we just had. And in the center, of the mainland, it's definitely more affordable, but there's not as many jobs. That's kind of just how it works. And specifically, what area are they talking about here? They said the study showed that Miami has the nation's highest cost burden rate out of the 50 largest metro areas in the country. So basically, Miami is the most expensive place to live, according to this study. And over 64% of Miami's households are considered cost burdened. So literally almost 2 out of 3 people walking the streets of Miami are cost burdened, meaning over 30% of their income is spent on housing expenses, which is a lot, because in my area, which is definitely more affordable, and it's just as beautiful, if not more beautiful, it is definitely cheaper. I don't know as many people that are cost burdened in such a way. But also Orlando was on the top of the list there, because over 60% of Orlando residents, and I think, are cost burdened. And I think that's kind of because, the employment over there is a lot tourism based, when it comes to the theme parks, and in general, there's so much tourism in Orlando and Kissimmee and all that area all around there. So they're not making that much money. They're definitely not in the 6 figures in terms of the average employee, maybe management or something. But, and I can understand that. It's the area is not cheap, and it's big, and so on. So to finish off, I'm going to list the 6 Florida cities that are cost burdened, and what number they are from worst to better. I can't say the best, just the better. So number 1, Miami. I already mentioned that, and that's the Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach area. Number 3 on the list is actually Orlando and Kissimmee, Sanford. Then number 6 is the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area. Number 9 is on the East Coast, which is Deltona, Daytona Beach, and Ormond Beach. Next one, number 12, well, it's my area, is the Northport, Sarasota, and Bradenton area. I didn't say it was affordable, I just said it's not as bad as the Miami area. And then lastly, number 16 on the list is Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater, which actually has appreciated quite a bit recently, because the area is very different than our area, and if you like more things to do, if you're more active as a person, that's a great area to go to. Also, a lot of people want to be on the west coast of Florida, not on the east coast, because statistically with hurricanes, we have a lot less hurricanes than the east coast does, coming in from the Atlantic. So this is basically an interesting article. I do think that Florida is less affordable, and there is a pro to this. I know that this sounds bad, that it's not affordable, people can't afford it, and so on. But the pro is this, is that when an area becomes expensive, you end up being around people that are more successful. And if you're someone who's trying to build your business or be more successful, you got to put yourself around people, because who your friends are is who you're going to end up being, for the most part. That's what they say. I don't know who the heck they are. I'm not a psychology expert or anything like that. I'm a marketing degree, and I'm a real estate agent. But I do think that there is a lot to that, where if you surround yourself with people who are doing things, you're going to start doing things. And if you surround yourself around people who are wealthier, you're going to start acting and behaving a little bit closer to like they are, and have more opportunities to mingle with those people and maybe make something happen. So thanks for watching.